and just a few little updates. Our co-host, unfortunately, is a little bit delayed, so we're going to get rolling with the webinar as planned since we're all here. So tonight we're going to be talking about the top 5 things you need to know before starting your senior living search. And first and foremost, I'd like to introduce Christina Bremner. She's a former assisted living community marketing director and now the founder of Purple Door Finders. So would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about yourself before we get started on the program?
Sure, absolutely. So why did I get myself involved in all of this? As a marketing director, I had a lot of folks, a lot of families and their loved ones, a senior, come into the office looking for a location to move. And what I experienced was, unfortunately, a very difficult experience for most of the folks that I was working with. And that's because they were exhausted. They had been trying to figure out where are all these communities located. When people are looking for something, they typically go online and search with Google AdWords, similar to assisted living near me. And what pops up are some companies that will offer some advice and some help and guidance in locating a community. When in fact, what happens is that they are given a list of communities, and those communities are contracted with this company, and they go visit those communities, and they may need something different than what they're being shown. And so they're not able to see all of their options. And so, having witnessed this over and over and over, I decided it was time to create a platform, a nationwide platform, where people could see all of their options and they could sort by what they could afford. They could sort by what their preferences were. They could sort by if they needed government assistance, so like Medicaid, if they were looking for an apartment that offered a Medicaid waiver. Not everybody has the same needs and preferences. For example, I'm just going to call the senior mom. So mom may be the type of person who's very social, and she loves to play cards and do all kinds of things. So she may be interested in a larger type building, an apartment style building. If The other option would be a residential board and care home, which is our homes that are nestled in neighborhoods. And they're very difficult to find. Most of these communities don't have websites, so they don't pop up on the internet search. Um, and so they would be like a house with 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms and a shared situation. So you can kind of get an idea of what the platform that we have offers. And I like to think of us as a Zillow for senior living. So in other words, you can shop and compare. And that's what people are used to doing when they go on the internet. They like to be able to go to Amazon and see all of the choices that they have out there. Oh, we have Sherrie.
Hi.
Hi there.
So
So
sorry.
that's okay.
Technical issues.
That's all right. So that's how I got started with Purple Door Finders. I started it about 3 years ago, and we went live about a year ago. So we have communities all across the United States for you to choose from. But the thing that is the most different about our website is that we also show live vacancies. So in other words, if you need to find a community and a vacancy right away, our site will show a vacancy. It'll show incentives. So do they offer some sort of a special rate, or perhaps waiving a deposit or something of that sort? So you can see that. You can also see any kind of upcoming events that they might be hosting, like an open house, or come in and have a barbecue dinner with us on Sunday, which is a great opportunity for a senior to be able to witness and experience the community on their own, and kind of interact with the staff and with the other residents and get a really good feel of what it would be like to live in that particular community. So that's why I built Purple Door. So Sherrie, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and kind of expand on how you got started and what you do.
Well, thank you. I need to figure out how to turn my actual camera on. I'm a little lost in this webinar from a technical situation. So I don't know that I can
We can
do that.
all feel
Can-
that pain. That happens to me all the time.
Right? Yes. Thank you. I honestly cannot figure out, I'm in a different system and can't figure it out. So I hope you all, can research me and look at the website and whatnot and see what I actually look like. So I'm going to continue on a verbal trip here. My name is Sherrie Bebell. I am the president of Senior Living Financial Specialist. It is a program that is helping families, seniors and families understand the financial implications of making the decision to move into a senior living community and transitioning from home and home expenses to living in a senior living community. We are a
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry, Sherrie.
That's
I
okay. I don't
interrupted
know.
you. You might be able to share your video now.
There you are.
Thank you. Thank you.
I
Here
will-
I am. I'm a live person. I'm real. I'm in a home office. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for this. Thank you so much for doing that. I was feeling a little perplexed over not being able to share myself. So Senior Living Financial Specialists, we're a program that is helping seniors and their families really understand the financial implications of making a transition from home to senior living community and what that looks like financially in your own situation. Every family is different, every situation is different. I will tell you, I have spent close to 25 years in this industry, working with communities and families across the entire country. And I am so transparent and honest that I'm going to tell you the first question that is ever asked when you start the research for senior living is, how much does it cost?
Exactly.
Right. And because that's top of mind. The persona and the information that is out there is expensive. That's what everybody thinks is expensive. And I will share with you that it is not as expensive as you think it is when you put all of the pieces together to truly understand what you are given when you move into a community and all of the services and I'm going to say the brick and mortar, as well as the services that are needed when you move into senior living. It's not as expensive as you think it is. It's more an understanding of what is included compared to where I'm living in my home today. The second myth that we hear is, well, I can live in my home. I can live in my home for less than what that charge is. And I am 100% transparent. You cannot live in your home and get what you need when you need assistance to live. You can stay in your home, but you will not live in your home. So this is what I've put together because I've been in the senior living industry for almost 25 years. I know this is top of mind. It's the biggest conversation, the biggest question that is ever asked. And we have streamlined it. We have, in my service and what we offer to prospective residents and seniors who are looking into senior living is to streamline the process, understand the financial implications, and identify the financial resources that are available to you to help support the cost of your care. I am deeply passionate about this field and enjoy and love all of the interactions that I have and the partners that I have in this industry. So Christina and co, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to join with you today.
Wonderful. Well, let's hop right into the 5 things that you need to consider as you are beginning your search for senior and assisted living. The first one on our list is preparation, the essential things you need to do before beginning your search. Christina?
Oh, yeah. How many times in my office did I hear people say, I'm not ready. I don't want to move. Like you just said, Sherry, they want to stay in their home. But the reality is something may happen, a change in their condition, their health condition. Let's just use the example of mom fell and broke her hip. And she ended up in the hospital, and the doctor said, you can't go home. You need care. What do you do? So, preparation, start early, have that conversation that you are probably dragging your feet over, but just have that conversation and talk about that scenario that I just shared with you. What if? What if, mom, this happened? What do we do? Perhaps you might even live in a different state. How do you navigate through that? And when a hospital is ready to discharge you, it's fast. Medicare is going to stop their payments and they need to turn that bed over for the next patient. And so, um, having something in line and ready, even if it's just in your head, that's the minimum that you should do. Um, but so start talking, shop early, do things like when you identify a community that you like, ask them if you can come in and have breakfast one morning. Ask them if you can come in and have dinner, experience that community and understand what they offer, what it's like. So preparation for me and Sherry, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the top 5 things in my head as a marketing director that I found, and I'm sure that you have some that you'd like to add. And of course, one of mine is affordability. So research and gather ahead of time to avoid a rush decision. Um, Understand what your loved one, what they like. In fact, I have had so many times where, and typically this search is done by the eldest daughter. She's between the ages of 45 and 65. Um, uh, she may have in her head an idea of what mom needs and wants, but mom may have a different idea of what she needs and wants. And so, actually, on our website, we do have a tool. It's a kind of a questionnaire that you can fill out, and it'll help you with that process. But just sit down, even if it's just with a piece of paper and a pen, just write down all the things that are important to mom and all the things important to the person that's helping her the advocate, and try to mesh those two so that it is a happy result in what you find. And then, like I said, location can be an issue. That idea of shopping ahead of time. You may live in Chicago. Kendra lives in Chicago, and mom may live in, California. So do that ahead of time so that you're not caught flying back and forth trying to figure all this out and stressing everybody out, including the marketing director in the building, because everybody has to rush and go so fast to get things done. The third most important thing for me, second thing is affordability. So, and I'll let Sherry go into that when I stop talking. And then another thing that people neglected to do, and why they would oftentimes end up in our community, is they wouldn't be planning and looking ahead. So yes, today mom may be independent, and she may move into a community that offers independent living, but they don't offer on-site care. They might have a caregiver come in and help them, but not on-site care. So plan for the future. Plan for what if, here's a scenario, mom is diabetic and she can manage all of her own injections. So she's living in an independent living community. But what happens if something changes and mom can no longer give herself those injections? Who can do it? Well, nobody can help her with that in the independent living community. So plan ahead, make sure that you have a community lined up for any time things would change, meaning they offer assisted living, and they may also offer memory care. What if she's living independently or even in assisted living and mild cognitive impairment becomes more prevalent And she's leaning more towards memory care. And the reason why I say this is you don't want to have to move somebody more than you have to. Every time you move a resident, it takes a toll on how long they actually will live because it's stressful and it's difficult. And we see a huge decline. We would see a huge decline in people every time they would move. So plan for the future. Create, like I said, a list of priorities. Make sure that it's close to care needs. So if they're diabetic and or kidney failure and you know they need dialysis, you want to get them close to that center for their care. Paperwork is another big one. You can get started on that laundry list of paperwork ahead of time. And most communities, especially in California, have a lot of paperwork that needs to be filled out. There's several forms that need a doctor's signature. So get that stuff done early and have it ready and prepared to make your discharge from the hospital quicker and more streamlined and efficient. And then I think something that I really stressed with people, if they were planning ahead and they found a community that they like, place a deposit. Get on their wait list. And that doesn't mean you're going to move in. That doesn't mean you have a move-in date. That just simply means that I found the community that we all agree on and that we like. We're placing a deposit. And if and when things change and mom needs to move into assisted living, we can go to that community and say, okay, we're ready. And they would be the next person on that list to move in. That was the simplest and easiest and smoothest scenario I ever saw. And I really encourage, in fact, when I was working as the director, we had a wait list of 45 depositors, people that have said, I will take your next apartment. So, in that discharge scenario, something I neglected to mention is when the doctor says it's, you need to be discharged and you don't have a place already lined up, you're pretty much going to have to settle with what you can get, which then means, guess what? You're going to have to move because mom's not happy there. Okay, that's my list. What's yours, Sherrie?
Gosh, God, you encompassed a lot. I want to circle back on some of the things that you said. First of all, yes, you want to get a binder, get a journal, something that you can start writing down questions. You definitely want to start creating the list of questions that you want to ask in a senior living community. You're going to think of things as the days go by and as experiences and visits go by, what you learn from one, whether it's from research or from visiting on site. You're going to want to make sure you ask the exact same questions of every community so that you can truly compare to find what is best suited for you or your loved one. So I encourage a journal, some sort of a list of questions that you are creating, so you make sure that you can always compare apples to apples, and then prioritize those questions as well. What you will learn, as we have over our many years in this industry, you will learn what questions really are the priority questions and what are the fluff questions. So what is most important to you if you are an adult child influencer, and what are the questions that are most important to your loved one? I can guarantee you're going to have the exact same questions that are priorities, but the answers are going to be very different. And let me give you an example. This is one of our favorite in the industry. I'm concerned about safety. Well, safety to me as an adult child is going to be more in the lines of, our visitors checked at the front door or at the front desk, our vendors checked for background checks at the front desk right before they get to venture into the community. Is my loved one's finances safe here at the community, right? Those are important safety features to me. My loved one, my mom, is going to say safety is important to her, but it's going to be, if I fall, is somebody going to know? If I fall and I need help, how quickly am I going to get help? Right? That's safety to her. It might even be safety of community. I'm not thinking community when I'm looking for, I am, but I'm not in the same realm. My mom is going to be living there every single day and creating relationships every single day. Her safety for relationships might be, am I going to find enough friends that I have the same interests with? That fits a couple different categories there, but what the topic for me that's important versus it's same topic, the variables are going to be very different for my loved one or for my mom in that situation. So think through and make sure that when you're talking to an executive director in a community or a community relations director in a community, when you ask the question that's important to you, you get an answer that's important to you, but also think about how is the answer to that to your loved one going to be important as well.
Can I add something to that, Sherrie?
Absolutely.
To your point about making sure you ask questions and we actually on our site, we do in our resources, we have a tour prep list and we have a tour questionnaire sheet. And Sherrie, what happened for me is people would walk in kind of like deers in the headlights, just they're so overwhelmed with the whole idea of being there that they just forget what to ask. And so,
Yeah.
like you said, make a journal or a binder, use a questionnaire to help you stay on task. And in fact, one of the one of the things that would happen when people would come in and they wanted to reserve an apartment, they would hand me a credit card. Well, most communities don't take a credit card. Take your checkbook with you. So check out these lists. So thank you.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's great. Also, you mentioned wait list.
Mhm.
I would, as an adult child in today's industry, understanding, I would wait list at several communities.
There you go.
Not lock yourself into one and only, because if there is not availability, you're going to have to go to your second or third choice, maybe, and then maybe not ever make it to your first choice. So
Right.
I would wait list at several. Are we on a time crunch? Because I don't want to mess
Yeah.
up. Okay, we are. Let's talk financials for a quickie, right?
Very important.
Yeah, it's the number one question. I will tell you, 9 out of 10 very first questions when somebody calls the senior living community to start to research, it's how much does it cost? We know that and we understand that cost is very important. It has been escalated in this industry. Understanding the dynamics of what the true cost is or what the cost is compared to what it is that your loved one is paying to live in their current homestead could be very different. And we will do a full on segment with Christina and co Purple Door on really truly 100% the cost of senior living. What I want you to hear from us today is that the cost of senior living is relevant to your loved one and where they're living today. And if you added up all of the cost of what it costs to live in that current homestead today, is very comparable to living in a senior living community. When you layer in your loved one needs help, and that's why they're moving into a senior living community, assistance with care. So if you stayed home or if your loved one stayed home, the cost of bringing in that care from a home healthcare standpoint is astronomically different than living in a community. There are shared costs that are spread across the community. So I want you to hear that from me today, and we will have our next, Christina, that's our next segment, digging into the true cost and the dynamics of senior living. So come back for the next part. But I also, what I want you to hear from me today is that there are so many resources out there in our industry and in the government and in the world today that actually help you cover the cost of care of living in a community. And they're very dynamic. It is not just a one set resource that can answer all of your prayers and all of your questions of covering that cost. What we have found, and we're now almost 4 years into the Senior Living Financial Specialist Program, helping families understand the dynamics of pulling in the different pieces to help cover some of those costs. So, we have more than 30 resources that we touch on within our program to help you create a dynamic solution to be able to make sure that your longevity of living in senior living and receiving the care that you need can be covered and helped and supplemented by having these resources. There's a lot that goes into the cost and the financial impact of living in a senior living community. I can't wait to dig into it deeper.
Yeah, let's make that our next webinar. That's a great point.
Yes.
There is one question, if we can bring it to the table for you guys.
Yes.
Are you able to negotiate and reduce rates? Does it work this way, or is it very, because there's variables, right? You have the base rental and then you have care, and there's a bunch of things in there. Is there ever any opportunity to maybe look at those?
Thank you so much for that question.
Great question.
It is a great question. First of all, there's always room for negotiation, rooms for what is set up in our industry as specials to help you bridge a gap to get you in the right location, in the right place that is most important to you. I will tell you, I have worked with hundreds of communities across the entire country. Everybody, we are all in this industry to make sure that seniors do not fall through the cracks, that every senior is cared for and gets the care that they need. And I will tell you, it's not always about the dollars and cents. It's more about making sure that it's the right fit for you when you need it. So if you are open and honest and transparent with the person that you are working with at any senior living community that you make as your choice, and you share with them, this is my challenge from a financial standpoint, they're going to work with you. There are a couple of different fees that are involved and included as a part of this process, and everything has a value. The fees and the rent rates and the care fees are not just set as something on a dartboard. They don't just throw a dart and say, this is what we're going to charge. Every senior living community has created their platform and their pricing structure based on how they can deliver the best care to you or your loved one. If you're honest, open, and transparent, and you let them know that you have a little bit of a challenge in any certain place, they're going to work with you. I promise you that. There is in every senior living community a community fee. We'll call it like a membership fee, an entrance fee, something that you pay to help you get into that community. That's usually what you have the most flexibility of negotiating with them. There is a value to that fee, I promise you. It's the amount of time, it equates to the amount of time that every single department spends with you to help make sure your transition is successful and comfortable. And it kind of pays for that transition period. But it also is the first thing that you can actually negotiate with. I personally come from a realm of there is a fee. We're going to be 100% transparent about it. We're going to let you know what that is and why it's so important. but there are some communities that will negotiate with that. I would tell you though, before I move on this topic and give it back to Christina, if you're investigating a community that is literally throwing the baby out with the bathwater and offering you waiving of fees and discounting of rent, and don't worry about care fees, we can work with you, those are communities that are possibly in major struggles. And if they cannot stand behind their value, they could possibly be in a situation where they're in trouble